Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Ireland's Sacred Sites with blessings of sound and vibration. This is a new adventure for me to do the sound healing connection with sacred sites. So it will be a lovely journey for all of us together. And if you just double check and make sure that you are on mute. And I know that we'll have some folks coming in as we go through. So if you would go to the chat and just type in your name and where you're from, that will be lovely, so I can look back at that later. I won't be able to follow the chat very much as we go through this, but the chat will save for me as I save the recording, and I'll get to see where you are. And if I don't already have you on my email list, then include your email in that as well. Most of you, I think, are probably already on my mailing list. But just remember to keep yourselves muted throughout the presentation, and then at the end I'll open it up again for questions and comments. And you can, throughout the session, there's probably at the bottom of your screen, there's a section called Q&A, and it might be under a tab that's called More, but there should be a Q&A section, and you can type in questions in there, and I can easily find those when we get to the end, because I won't be following chat until we get finished. And you can also email me with any follow-up questions. Let me put my email in the chat. I know that it will disappear. I mean, the people who come in afterwards will not see what has already been entered in the chat, but nevertheless, I'll put it in, then I'll put it in again later. And then there's my website, which will be the location that you can go to for the replay or to share the replay with anyone. Sound, music, and vibration are at the very heart of Ireland. Legend from long ago teaches us that there are three strains of music, of harp music in particular, but three strains of healing sound that comes through the music of Ireland. One is the tones of sorrow and pain, and another healing music are the sounds of joy and happiness. And another of the healing strains is the lullaby or sleep for peaceful healing. So we will virtually travel to Ireland and ask for sound blessings from the mineral beings, the mineral people of Earth, the rocks, the minerals, the stones, and the soil. And so we'll receive those blessings through tones. And I start this session with an altar. And in the center of my altar, I don't know if you can see this very well, but I'll hold it up. This is a globe that's made of crystals and stone. It's the base of it is lapis, and there's some gold running through it. And then each of the countries is made with different crystals. So I have that as the center of my altar as we begin today. And an altar, the purpose of an altar is to anchor and connect us to one another. So what I'd like you to do right now, before we call the directions and before we proceed further, I'd like each of us from the center of my altar here to connect with each other. So just reach out as if you could touch the hands of the person next to you in those little pictures we're looking at, and just reach out to each other as if we were in a circle. And make sure that you're muted, and say your name out loud. I'm Peggy. And each of you say your name, and we are connected to one another, even though we're not hearing the tones with our ears. We're hearing the tones through the vibrations of the non-physical realms that are all around us. So welcome to the circle, and welcome to being a part of this circle. And as we move forward in the circle, I will call the directions, and I start here in the center. And I say, thank you, divine light. Thank you, oneness. Thank you for bringing us together this day and for reaching through the vibrations to help us understand and remember who we are. And I turn to the east. And I say, thank you, winds of the east, ancestors of the east. And there is Lu and Anya, the Celtic line from the day, bringing us illumination, opening us to new beginnings, opening us to new ideas, opening us to light our path as we go on this journey together today. And I move to the south. And the south we're greeted by Bridget and the Oranmore who created the earth from sound, and Bridget, who is the guide of creation, of creating all things, to work with our hands, to work with our minds, bringing us to dance and joy and laughter. And we say thank you. And I turn to the west. And in the west, there's the Morrigan, calling us into introspection, calling us to let go of what we no longer need on our spiritual journey. Just as the trees let the leaves release so that they may go on their pathway, the leaves may go on their journey down to the earth, becoming one with the soil, for the sap to sink from the trunk into the earth. And so the Morrigan asks us to let go of what we no longer need and to stand in introspection, to stand in that place of listening and hearing and feeling. And we say thank you to the Morrigan. And we turn to the north. We turn to the north for relaxation and rest, but at the same time, Danu stands and calls us to challenge, to stand up. She challenges us to be who we came here to be, to express the divine through our actions and our thoughts. And we say thank you to the north. Full circle, back to the center. And I say thank you to the stars and the moon and the planets and the sun and all that is in the galaxy. And I say thank you to the Mother Earth, who supports us, who hosts us on this planet. And I say thank you to the divine oneness, who sent us here on this journey to help us experience life and remember who we are. And I say, Aho, Amen, Ashi, blessed be, Hamdulillah, and so it is. So thank you. Thank you for being here today. Sounds are vibrations, you know. And so we're talking about sound and vibration. And so I want to remind you that we are coming toward the new moon on September 6th, the new moon in Virgo, which is a time for clearing and preparing for what is yet to come. And so why think about the moon? What does it matter? Well, the moon's energy is a part of that non-physical realm where we dwell, as well as dwelling in the physical. We are vibrating energy, physical and non-physical. We are physical and energetic at the same time. Our physical body has the inherent energy, vibration of the universe. We are a part of the universe. We are connected to the universe. We recognize sound. We don't always think of sound as a vibration, but it truly is a vibration. And our human body is a bioelectrical system that's created through varying frequencies of sound. So things are, sound is a creator. Sound creates things. If we take a tuning fork, this is not the kind that you use for a piano. This one has some additional pieces. But if you take a tuning fork and you make it vibrate, I know you can't hear that, but if I were standing with my piano open and I strike the tune, the corresponding string on the piano would begin to vibrate just as this is vibrating in my hand. So the vibration is real, and we can use the resonance or the vibration to even overcome some imbalanced conditions in our physical body. So sound can move and transform matter. And of course, Ireland has the history of the three types: the sad song, the happy song, the lullaby. So those are energetic vibrations that literally change our feeling, the way that we are responding to the world around us, based on the vibrations that are coming around us. So sound can move you into a coherent state more quickly, getting your heart into proper rhythm, getting your mind focused in balance and in harmony with the divine. Sound takes us to a transformation state. And so we're going to look at that and talk about those kinds of things today. And I do, for those who just come in, please do go to the chat and type in your name and where you're from. And I will put in again my website and my email address. So if you have a question that we don't get to today on this session, then please feel free to email me. So just double check that you have yourself muted. And I'm going to share my screen and present the presentation for today. Let's see. Yeah, there it comes. All right. So we will have several little pieces where we'll stop and do some things as we go through this, but mostly I'll go through the presentation and go to that Q&A and type in a question if you'd like to, or hold your questions till we get to the end, because I will open up and have you open your mics so that we can talk together as we get to the end. So welcome to Ireland's Sacred Sites, with blessings of imagery of the sacred sites, blessings of sound from the Oranmore, the great song, and the vibration of the Tuatha De Danann, the Cailleach, and others of the long history of Ireland. So join me as we travel from modern day Ireland to Ireland's magical past. It's quite a journey from the present to the past. So we'll explore the distinctive energy, the vibrational resonance of ancient sites that are 3,000, 5,000, some even 7,000 years old. And we'll let that vibration flow through us in sound and chanting, because even though you're not there, you can still look at this photograph, look at this picture, and almost all of the pictures in here are photographs that I myself took in Ireland. There are some things that are not, but for the most part, they are my own photographs from Ireland. So you can look at this mound, and we'll talk more about it in just a few minutes, but there is an energetic resonance that flows from that you can receive as we go through this. And then the sound and the chanting will take it even deeper, because these sacred places are what the ancients called a thin place, a thin veil between this world and the other world. There are places in Ireland like Carramore, and this is possibly 5,000 and maybe even as old as 7,000 years ago, that they built these structures. They put rocks together to form a portal. On this distant mountain is where the famous Queen Maeve was said to have been buried. And whatever these structures are, the ancients knew that the other world existed just outside the firelight. So take a deep breath. You're looking at an ancient stone circle called Drombeg, sometimes called the Druids Altar. Take a deep breath in, where the wind whispers from the wisdom of 1,000,000 years. Ireland's connection to the ancient is alive and well today. All over Ireland, there are cluties tied on trees at sacred spots or at holy wells in a variety of different places. Cluties are pieces of fabric, like the two that I'm holding up now. They're pieces of fabric, and people pray their prayers into the fabric and tie it on a branch of a tree at a sacred place. So what I'd like you to do right now is to join me as we write our blessings and our prayers. You can write it down on a piece of paper, or you can just in your mind think it and send it to these cluties that I'm holding now. So as I tone for just a minute, put your prayers into the cluties. The sacred hawthorn tree calls you to put your prayers on her limbs. And I have tied the cluties on the branch, representing the hawthorn tree, with your prayers into the fabric. And the purpose of this is much like you may have heard of the Tibetan prayer flags. You put your prayers into the clutie and you open it to the wind, and the wind blows your prayers into the universe. And on our journey today, we meet the Cailleach. That's not exactly how it's pronounced in Irish. It's more like Cailleach. But my English, American English accent doesn't quite say it the same way. But the Cailleach sometimes called the Hag, reminds us to awaken to the divine oneness in each of us. She is here on the cliffs of Moher in Ireland. Whoops. And I have a quote here from John O'Donoghue, who was a famous Irish poet who died just a few years ago. So you're looking at the River Boyne, which is very near Newgrange. And John O'Donoghue says to us, if you enter into the dream that brought you here and awaken its beauty in you, then the beauty will gradually awaken all around you. So welcome to the journey. And this too is another view of the cliffs of Moher. Such a beautiful place. The Oranmore, which is sometimes called the Great Song, brought together the swirling waters and the gases to create the earth. The Oranmore gathered them, molded them, holded them, and with the vibration, with tones, created the beauty of what we see as planet Earth, with the mountains and the plains and the waters. The fragments of the great song drive us to pilgrimage, drive us to that yearning for the connection with the divine. The Welsh call it the hareth, the longing for home. The Oranmore is that holy, mystical song of life. It was sung throughout the festivals and the ceremonies and the holy days of ancient times, from the pre-Celtic people, and even today, the Celtic world still sings the songs in the festivals and the ceremonies. And after the Oranmore created the world, there were several others who came to Ireland, but eventually the Tuatha De Danann came. And we'll talk more about them later, but the Tuatha De came to Ireland, and Dagda, who was the leader of the Tuatha De, brought the first harp to Ireland. And it is said that the music he played kept the seasons in proper order. And Dagda is the one who taught the harp's strains of music, the sorrow and pain, the joy and the happiness, and the lullaby or sleep, to produce that tranquil state of healing. So from our heart, from our center, we can sing the song of creation, the song of life, the melody that flows, that brings us in harmony with the divine. The Oranmore and the 3 strains of healing music are still being sung today. But in this individualistic society we live in, so many never hear or even know to listen for that primordial divine tone. If we fail to live up to our potential as co-creators with the divine, we add to the brokenness of our society today. But deep within each one of us is that yearning for the connection to the divine, that yearning for our lost holiness, our lost wholeness. And sometimes others can help us hear those tones. A young woman named Philippa Ann Reed was studying to be a bard with the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids, based in England, but it is an international organization. And for her final project to be anointed as a bard, she wrote the song and the words. It's just absolutely incredible and magnificent. Let me put this in the chat, and you can, if you know how to do that, you can copy and paste from the chat. I'm not sure I can get in. Let's see if I can get to the chat. I'm not seeing a quick, there it is, quick, easy way in it. One. Okay, so I have typed that in the chat. If you can copy and paste it, or you know, you can email me later if you need to find it, but this is definitely worth listening to. I will use some of her words in a few minutes as we go through some of our chanting. I cannot play her song because when I go to post this on YouTube, they will say that this is a copyrighted song, and they will not allow me to include it in my recording because I don't have copyright permission. But it is an incredibly beautiful song and worth listening to. And this picture is an artist's drawing of what the Tu-Hade may have looked like. So before I go into the words from their song and some more toning, I want to talk for just a minute about tonal blessing and the Celtic weave. Now, the Celtic weave is literally a term that's used in sound healing, not because the Celts used it necessarily, but because the Celtic weave is the twisting and the turning and the weaving of beautiful patterns, much like the twists and turns of the Celtic knot. And that's why it's called that. Sometimes it looks like the Celtic knot. Sometimes it looks like the triple spiral. Sometimes like the double helix of the DNA. So what I'd like you to do is to join me in weaving this Celtic weave. And I would like you to do that as I chant and tone in just a minute. And so the weave is just literally taking your hand and forming the infinity symbol, or if it works better for you, up and down like the figure 8 with one hand. And if you feel like you can do it with two, you bring your hands toward each other and just let them twist and turn into the spirals that make the double infinity symbol. But whichever is easiest, you can keep it up with just one hand if that's easier to do. So just continue that and weave that Celtic knot, that Celtic weaving and moving around as you listen to these words, and then to the tones, and then after that, chanting with me. And I'm seeing my lights flashing on and off, which means my power is coming and going. So if you lose me, you know what's happening. We're having, well, we're not currently having a storm, but we did a little while ago. So just continue weaving the circle and listening. Oh, hear the call of a tale to enthrall, to join an ancient line, holding hands across all time. Whoops. In a starlit grove hides a treasure trove, and deep within the earth lies a seed about to birth. Your song, your sweetest song, as the blackbird sings at dawn. And you're looking now, as you continue your weaving, you're looking at one of the stone circles at Slivnakaliak. And the Mordigan stands holding her crow. Listen to the tones. And now chant with me Oranmore, and you can literally just say the word Oranmore, which means the great song. You can say Oranmore, or you can put it into a harmonic kind of chanting, but just listen to the rhythm with which you say it. Oranmore, Oranmore, more, Oranmore, 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 Oranmore. Oranmore, Oranmore, Oranmore. And you've received the blessings from Slid Nikaliak, the blessings from the Morrigan, and from the birds. Oranmore, the great song. Our loss of the mystical song it's disrespectful of the sacredness of creation. But if we let the yearning call to us, if we let the yearning open and blossom within us, we can rediscover our co-creative role with the divinity. If we listen to the vibration and the harmony of life, we can receive the blessings of the melody of the great song. In Celtic myth, it's the Oranmore that gives the vitality to our senses. The ancient Irish respected and honored the earth and all of her beings and all of the spirits of the other world. The elements of nature are not just out there someplace, they are literally a part of us. Our physical bodies are made up of fire, earth, air, and water. Everything is a stream of consciousness. It may be in that non-ordinary reality, and that flowing that you do with the infinity circle adds to the healing, adds to the coherence of your body. And just as all of us are in separate locations in many different places, we are connected through that non-ordinary reality. So, since we're sitting each of us in our own location, let's take a little trip to Ireland. We're going to go first to the Burren, which is on the west coast. And at the Burren is the megalithic structure of the Pool na Bron. And from there, we're going to go to Newgrange, which is near the eastern coast. So let's go. Once upon a time, the Tuatha De Danann lived on the land in places like the Burren. The Burren was created 4 million years ago, and it's literally the skeletons of the beings that once lived in this place. So it is a tremendous rock formation. And in the middle of the Burren, which is just near the coast, there's Pool na Bron, this megalithic structure. So walk with me across the Burren, across this limestone unbelievable, desolate looking place that has flowers and grasses that grow in the Mediterranean that shouldn't actually be growing in Ireland. So it's a mystical, magical place that we go. And there we go to the great silence of a vast cathedral called Pulnabron. It's a portal that opens to a gateway into another dimension. It's 7 feet tall, and the stone is 7 feet wide. And from this front to the back is actually 12 feet. It's a very large structure. Perhaps it was once covered in dirt, or perhaps it was built to be above ground. But it was 5,000 or 6,000 years ago. The people who were there at the time built this as a portal to the other world. Today, we can measure electromagnetic resonance. Now, that's energy that flows from you, from me, out into the world. It's a flow of energy that's always there. We are electromagnetic beings, and that energy can flow to and from us, and it flows to and from the stones. And the sacred stones have a particular kind of flow. Pulnabron is one that has that. So what I want to show you is a scientifically designed example of electromagnetic energy. And so the energy is flowing. And so imagine this energy flowing from Pulnabron as you see it flowing in this picture. So look at Pulnabron and look at the vibrations, and then begin to hum. Doesn't matter if it's a melody or just a humming, but begin to hum. And as you do that, put one hand on your cheek or on your chest as you hum and feel that vibration. Take a breath and hum again. Just hum, hum, hum. You are actually activating parts of your body that bring you into closer coherence, that puts your heart in rhythm. It helps your blood flow more easily. It's called the vagus nerve or the vagal nerve, and that humming causes it to vibrate and improve the way that you feel. And so we travel from that west coast, from the Pulnabron, all the way across the country to, excuse me, to the eastern part of Ireland, where we find Newgrange. This is said to be the home of the Sidhe, S-I-D-H-E, pronounced the Sidhe. Sometimes the Tuatha are referred to as the Sidhe. And this structure is truly astounding. It's 59 feet or 18 meters high, but the diameter across this thing is 280 feet. You know, that's not quite as large as a football field or soccer field, but it's close. It's about 2/3 of a soccer field. So it's an enormous, enormous, enormous structure built more than 5,000 years ago. It was built 1,000 years before Stonehenge was built. And let me go back to the other picture. This rim that you see does not go all the way around. It goes not quite halfway around it. The architects, or not architects, but archaeologists of the time found all this stone, and this was in the 1960s, and they decided that it should go up along the rim. There are others who believe that this actually should be on the ground and that it was part of a ceremonial area. But whichever it was, there are over 1 million stones that are in this area. And the white quartz came from the Wicklow Mountains, which are about 50 miles from here. And then the dark round stones came from about 25 miles away. The dark ones are round, smooth eggs, and they have also been found inside various mounds like this. They're probably they probably represent fertility objects, but the white stones are called sunstones. And then down below, these very large stones wrap around, and these are as much as 3 to 5 feet tall and much longer than they are tall. So the Newgrange is regarded as the castle of the Tuatha De Danann, because the goddess Boann and Dagda, the leader of the Tuatha De, and their son Angus live there still today, because eventually they went under the earth, and they say that the Tuatha De, still dwell with us today. But when they were on the earth, there were many celebrations and feasts that were held at Newgrange and at the other mounds. And Dagda's had a cauldron that was called the never empty cauldron. And no matter how many people came, people ate from the cauldron and were never hungry. So at the base of this enormous mound are these large stones called curbstones. They were scored with flint or with quartz into these magnificent patterns. Remember, this is like 5,000 years old. And so they certainly have weathered over time, but still you can see the carvings that are in there. This one is called the Sunstone, with the sun in the center and the rays coming out from it with swirls around the sides. This is a picture of 2 women who, one of the days that I was there, they were dowsing for energetic resonances at the stones. And this is the same stone that you just saw. This is in the very center is supposed to represent the star Sirius, and this is Orion's belt. So we don't know all of the things that are carved into these stones, but we know that we have the swirling and the twirling movements all throughout these amazing stones. So if you've just come in, please check and make sure that you're on mute so that we don't hear the noises, the other noises coming in around you. This is the front entrance of Newgrange, and it's called a passage mound because there is a passage within the mound that goes right in through here. And this stone has the triple spiral. I've put a picture of a triple spiral over here, but it has the triple spiral here and then other spirals around it. This is a larger version, so you can see it a little bit better. These triple spirals and then the 2 spirals over here represent the 5 consecutive days that sunlight comes through the roof box at winter solstice. 5,000 years ago, they created this tunnel within this enormous mound and structured it so that light could come in through that window, which is about 3 feet wide, shine in through the tunnel all the way to the back of this chamber. And for 5 consecutive days, for about 17 minutes, light shines in through there. So this is part of the tunnel. As you walk in through it, it rises 6 feet above the entrance so that that light box can shine directly into it. The passage is 17 feet or 5 meters long from the front entrance to the back. And this is a picture of what it looks like as the sun shines in through that chamber. So sit for just a minute and just look at that energy, look at that light. Now this was not a picture of the sun. I was not there at winter solstice, but these are electric lights showing us what it looks like with the sun shining through that passageway. And inside, even the ceiling has carving. All along the wall through the chamber there are carvings, but even the ceiling has the swirling and other marks. So the passageways provide us with what's called tunnel sensation. My belief is, and many other people believe, that these passages were actually built to be what we today would call a shamanic journeying chamber, where people would go through this tunnel, and going through the tunnel would take them into a different space. It would interface the other dimensions of reality with our consciousness. So think about the tunnel sensation and walk in your mind down this tunnel. Feel yourself moved into another dimension as you step by step go through the tunnel, go through the journey. And as you journey down that tunnel, look carefully at the paths of the spirals and open to these spirals. We start at the center, spiraling out, and this spiral weaves into the second spiral, and we spiral in and back out, weave into the third spiral, in and out, and we weave across to the other spirals. So breathe in the energy of Ireland and breathe in the tones, breathe in the harmony. And we're going to journey a little further back in time, when the two-a-day came to Ireland. I could do a month-long course and still not touch all there is to talk about the two-a-day. but I do want to give you just a little glimpse of who they are. They're the tribe of the mother goddess Danu. They're known to the Irish by many different names such as the Shining Ones, the People of Light, the People of the Mounds. They're called the She, the Good People, the People of Peace. Sometimes they're called fairies. The Tuatha are considered to be the original gods and goddesses of Ireland. And whether they were gods and goddesses or just people trained in magic, they changed weather patterns and shifted the wind and calmed the ocean and would disappear in battle. So they were people with an understanding of how to use the electromagnetic resonance into what we would today call magic. They're called the Shining Ones. They arrived in Ireland in their boat, and for 3 days and 3 nights, there was smoke or clouds or fog covering up all around the coast where they arrived. They came because there were negative forces that had moved into Ireland, and they were sent to clean up the mess, to bring the beauty and the harmony back to the land. And they moved into the land, they became the land, they were one with the land and brought harmony and justice and beauty. They brought with them some great treasures, the Stone of Destiny, which is in Tara. They brought Lu's spear that was invincible in battle, and Nuda's irresistible sword. Once the sword was in action, no one could resist that sword in that battle. And then there was Dagda's never empty cauldron. And the folklore, of course, says that the harp was brought to Ireland by Dagda. The She, the Tuatha, call us to the divine light within, to our place in the great cosmic web. Much like the spider's web, we come from all these different places. The Celtic light weaves us into the web, weaves us in, calling us to remember who we are, to harmonize with the beauty and the oneness of the land. The Tuatha taught 3 important things that became the foundation of Celtic spirituality. To honor the gods, meaning remember the divine light and follow the beauty of the divine light. Do no evil and live courageously. They call us to attend to our sacred relationship with the earth and with all of life. This is a picture of the waterfall at Burr Castle in the central part of Ireland, an absolutely magnificent place. So listen now, listen to the water. Let the water bless you. And the fairy bells from the She, from the Tuatha, ring their magic for you. They ring their tones, asking you to remember the blessings. Remember the blessings from the ancient sites. Remember the blessings of the tone, and remember to tone yourself. Remember to hum. Remember to sing. Remember to bring the light energy into your body. And so as I called the guides in, I now thank them for coming, thank them for being with us as we came into this circle today. I thank Danu, who came from the north. I thank the Morrigan, who came from the west. I thank Bridget and the Oranmore from the south. Lou and Anya from the east. I thank all of them for coming in and helping us and guiding us. And I thank the divine light from all that is, the creation, for coming in. Thank you for guiding us. Thank you for being with us this day. And thank you for joining me today. If you have time, stay and we'll have some questions and some comments. And you can reach me at Peggy@mothersacredtours.net or go to the website. And of course, I am starting a class next week, continuing with what I've done with the sights and the sounds. And you can reach that at the website as well. Once again, let me put those in case you did not see it earlier in the chat. Let me go over to that. Okay, I think I have put that in the chat now. And so welcome back to where we are. And I think I will stop the recording at this point.